Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. One of the most common questions that is asked of me is, how do I find purpose? And I share with those who ask, it is to revolve around those with purpose that you come to navigate your purpose. Yesterday, I shared that Meaningful Mornings is a community, is a workshop on anger management, on annoyance management, and for the sake of alliteration, on afraid management. I'd like to share what Meaningful Mornings, this workshop, is in one more way. One of the hardest experiences for parents is when their kids don't need them anymore. When their kids are in high school, when their kids go to college, when their kids become parents, that is one of the hardest experiences for parents, because a parent has come to believe that their purpose is their children. And when their children don't need them, then they don't have purpose. So what gets developed? Being afraid, being annoyed, being angry. And the way that they tend to this is they wait to become grandparents. And what they felt with their children, now they try to do the same with their grandchildren, but it's even harder because that energy is not there. So it's very much about, we have to feed our grandchildren, we have to gift our grandchildren, because there's no long-term purpose. Such parents who become grandparents, they age fearfully. More stress, more anxiety, more dejection. They may use the word aging gracefully, but that's not their experience. And all of this comes down to a lack of a long-term purpose. Children, grandchildren, that is a short-term purpose, especially in the context of how many lives we've lived and will live. Meaningful Mornings is a community, a workshop on management, on purpose, to revolve around Shreya, a deep and long purpose. If you could identify what the trust triangle is guiding us to, trust triangle, our guide, our map, our divinity, if you can identify what the trust triangle is guiding us to in a simple phrase, what would it be? Share in the chat. Those commuting through Facebook and Instagram, you miss out on the chat. Join us through Zoom. it would be Tattvamasi. Divinity, you are. This is all the trust triangle is guiding us to. Not to be physically healthier, not to have simpler relationships. They are only guiding us to divinity. But how do you guide a seeker in this? One message that a seeker keeps on escaping from. Think of Bhagavad Gita. Why are there 18 chapters? Why is there so many Puranas or educational texts? Because seekers are too used to, too habituated to objective sciences. It is hard for them to revolve around a subjective science. So this trust triangle keeps trying to navigate us, to orient us towards the subject. And in chapter 8, Sri Krishna is doing this by comparison. Comparing Sadhya Mukti, which is unconditional freedom, to Krama Mukti, which is conditional freedom. We're exposed to Sadhya Mukti. Here, he is exposing us to Krama Mukti. Sadhya Mukti is when you follow Karma Yoga. How do you know you're following Karma Yoga? There's more purity in your inner world. This then evolves to Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Those are synonyms. It's less about purifying then. It is more about knowing. Knowing who you are. At the end of chapter 15, Sri Krishna describes Prince Arjuna by two names. The first name, Anagha, the one who is pure. The next name, Bharata, the one who knows light, as in awareness. Krama Mukti, this conditional freedom, is also a path. A seeker is journeying. However, there is less purifying. There is hardly knowing. Traditionally, Krama Mukti is the experience of those who are engaged in rituals. Not purifying, not knowing, but rather ritualizing. They're doing, but that doing is not leading to purity, to knowledge. So much of our day is like that, correct? If I asked you, how was your day yesterday? You'll tell me it's busy. If I ask you, what did you learn about yourself yesterday? What will you share? See how there's a danger with parents teaching their children about rituals without following it with an explanation, because then their entire lifestyle becomes like that. I repeatedly share with seekers, what should you do in the morning? Read, write, and reflect. Vitamin R3. Yes, I can chant Vishnu Sahasranama and I can offer puja. That's fine. But is it leading to purifying and knowing? If I can share this in one more way, when one is ritualizing, it's like what you're doing is incomplete. If you have to fill out a form to get a certain license, etc., but you fill this in incompletely, you get a response from that organization, that service, but you don't get what you're wanting, that license, that privilege, correct? It is incomplete. You put in all of the effort, but incomplete. if this is how one lives, then what they're doing is they're following the suras. Suras is another word for devas. That tends to be ritualistic. The suras guide one to Bhagwan Brahma. I go from this dimension to a higher dimension to the highest dimension, but it's still a dimension. Space and time exist. And finally, Bhagwan Brahma guides me to Atma, divinity. Divinity you are. This is a very indirect path. This chapter, which is coming to a completion, Sri Krishna is sharing these insights to deter us from this path. What a loving teacher, what a master teacher. Verse 25, the opposite of verse 24. Dhumo ratristata Krishnaha Shanmasa Dakshanayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi Yogi Prapya Nivartate. Dhumo. Dhumaha means smoke. Ratri, that is night. And Krishnaha, Krishna here means the dark fortnight. Tomorrow I will be more specific in comparing verse 24 and 25. Right now I'm translating this. The idea of a fortnight is not so prevalent in our society. Essentially, this Krishnaha, this dark fortnight, is when the moon wanes. There's more darkness. Shanmasa Dakshanayanam. This is when the sun is not moving towards the north, but towards the south. For Vivek, I have no orientation of what the earth and sun are doing. Essentially, it means that I'm moving further from the sun, which means there's more darkness. More darkness from the moon, more darkness from the sun. Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi. The light that one experiences in this path is the light of the moon. And now the most significant part, yogi. I told you this person is a seeker too. This is a path too. Prapya nivartate. In this path, they go and they come. There is a return. Nivartate. Sharing some implications of this verse. Verse 24 is where one's lifestyle and vision is oriented towards spirit. Then verse 25 is the opposite. Share what word that would be then. One's lifestyle and vision is oriented towards matter. 24, values. 25, valuables. 24, independence. The sun has its own light. 25, dependence. The moon does not have its own light. That is what Sri Krishna is sharing. If I can take us back to chapter 6, verse 22. One of the best descriptions of the utility of contemplation is shared. In the second line, Sri Krishna shares, Yasmin stitaha Na dukkena guruna api vichalyate. Yasmin stitaha means the one who knows their nature. Na dukkena, in sorrow. What kind of sorrow? Guruna, heavy sorrow. Na vichalyate. They're not weakened by that context. I share this as your reference because for those who are following the path of the sun, they feel that strength inside of them, security, so they have a lighter relationship with the equipments, with the experiences, with the entities. Whatever happens to them, they have a lighter touch with all of that because they're strong inside. They're living for spirit, for values, for independence. So if there's matter, valuables, dependence, they touch that lightly. Final reflection. I recently listened to Puja Swami Tejomayananda share, the body is not a problem. It is what we feel the purpose of the body that is the problem. The purpose of the body is to function. So function, but you are not the body fundamentally. When you know that, what happens to the body affects you less. You're more light-footed, light-hearted. That's all an understanding that comes with following the path of the sun. The path of the moon is where you feel you are the body. So the purpose changes, then you live for the body. That is called moha. And Acharya Shankara describes this moha, living that in a way that you feel you are matter, as mahamrityu. This chapter focuses on dying in death. The greatest death is being confused about who you are. And one's lifestyle and vision being towards the path of the moon furthers that, deepens that. Beware. From inspiration to application, your recent application was to look at the sun every hour. How many of you tried? Why I asked you to do this was to slow down. So often we look at the sun and what comes to our mind? We complain. Too hot. I should go inside. But now you did this intentionally. It was not a ritual. That slowing down helps one to shift from krama mukti to sadhya mukti. Here is your application for this morning, a very personal application. I want you to calculate all of your valuables. Calculate all of your valuables, your home, your car, your insurance, your stocks, your jewelry, your technology. Calculate your valuables. If you want to be really bold, you can share that on our website. The problem, though, is I'm going to ask from you accordingly, though. Write down, you think I don't know your valuables, so you give $100. But if I know that you're worth millions, I'm going to double and triple that. Or at least share that with me privately tomorrow in the chat. It's a very personal application. Shanti, shanti, shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.